Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be talking about the Expo Arms 14.5 chrome-lined barrel. Now, this barrel, when it's on sale, I believe, is the cheapest chrome-lined barrel on the market, and they have a ton of different barrel lengths, so I did want to try this out. But before we get into the video, if you want to help me out personally, you can, of course, like, share, and subscribe, as all it is free and does help me out quite a bit. Also, go ahead and comment your favorite cheap barrel in the comments down below. Personally, mine is Ballistic Advantage, as you tend to get a ton of performance for a pretty decent cost. Now, on top of that, there's also my website, which in theory sells upper receivers, some in 308, some in 556 that I currently have in stock, with 6.5 Creedmoor coming soon. There's also Subscribestar, which is basically just a pro to a Patreon. Now, full disclosure on the Expo Arms 14.5, is that I paid my own money for this, but if you don't know, Expo Arms is a in-house brand for primary arms, and they seem to come out with a lot of budget-ish stuff that seems to perform quite well, again, for the money, kind of like primary arms in general. I do have a relationship with Primary Arms, as I am a dealer for their stuff. However, this barrel I purchased with my own money, and I paid full price, even though it was on sale. Now, when I bought this barrel on sale, it was on sale for $70 for a 14.5 mid-length chrome-lined barrel. Now, getting into the specifics, of course, as I just mentioned, this is a 5.56 chambered barrel, 14.5 inches long, mid-length gas system, 4150 chrome molybdenum steel that does meet the mil spec. The finish is the manganese phosphate. Phosphate is a perfectly fine finish. Some people prefer it as it does tend to soak up oil. However, that would imply that you guys are keeping your components nicely oiled. Now, on top of that, we have a 1-in-7 twist on this government profile barrel. Government profile is not the ideal profile. However, it is just fine. You have a couple more ounces out front. You'd rather have that weight in the back. However, it does tend to still perform quite well, though again, the balance is shifted a little bit forward on it. Now, they claim that the gas port size is .077. However, on mine, it pin gauged at .078. Now, .078 is identical to Roscoe, Ballistic Advantage, and Palmetto State Armory for their 14.5 mid barrels. All of those barrels that I've tested have all come in at .078 for the gas port size, and that is what I would consider to be appropriate. Last couple things to mention on the barrel itself. We, of course, have a 1/2 by 24 thread pitch. We have a Knox at the end, which is a mixed bag of a muzzle device. We have M4 feed ramps in the back. Now, the very, very last thing to talk about on the barrel, and probably the biggest driving factor to people actually picking these up, other than, of course, the cost, which when it's on sale is quite ridiculous, is the fact that these barrels are chrome lined. Now, Expo Arms has a full line of chrome-lined barrels, anything from 10.3 SOCOMs, 11.5s. I'm not sure if they have a 12.5, but I know they have a 14.5 and a 16-inch chrome-lined barrel. And chrome lining is the military spec, and it is what a lot of people look for in a barrel. They believe if a barrel is not chrome-lined, it's just garbage, which is false, as we'll demonstrate later on. But chrome lining is an exceptional coating. It will extend your barrel life considerably compared to other coatings, and it also tends to be quite heat resistant, corrosion resistant, very lubricious. So it makes a lot of sense in full auto applications with that heat resistance, of course. And it means that you're going to maintain a longer barrel life on your barrel through much harsher use case scenarios. Now, to the average Joe picking up a sub $100 barrel, it probably won't matter whatsoever, and detractors of chrome coatings will say that it can lead to reduced accuracy if it is not applied correctly, because chrome is an additive process, and depending on how it's done, there can actually be a wave in the chrome lining, and it might not be even throughout the entire bore, which of course can, in theory, lead to reduced accuracy, though we will get into that a little bit later on. Now, getting into the gassing of the barrel, this is what I would consider to be perfectly appropriate. So in the Geisley railed upper behind me, the DDC one, that has an FN, a much, much more expensive barrel, with a 16-inch mid-length barrel from FN, chrome lined, all the same features basically. Now that has a .078 gas port on a 16-inch mid, not a 14.5 mid. So that one there, the true FN barrel, is actually a little bit more overgassed, like barely, but a little bit more overgassed than what this is, because of course, same port size on the gas port, but a slightly less dwell time on a 14.5 versus a 16-inch means you get more pressure at the gas port, or at least that pressure for a longer period of time means you get a little bit more gas in the system. 14.5, .078, again, that's the same as Ballistic Advantage, Roscoe, and Palmetto State Armory for their 14.5 mids. Now, probably not all Palmetto State Armory 14.5s but all of the Roscoe and Ballistic Advantage 14.5s that I've tested are at that .078. And what that means in real world performance is that you get a barrel that will cycle quite literally anything right out of the box. Now, to some people, that would be overgassed. With this barrel, if it wasn't in this slick side upper receiver, you would get ejection with steel cased ammo at about 4 o'clock, which is towards the bleeding edge. And then depending on your brass, whether it's M193, M855, M855A1, you'd be getting ejection somewhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, which again, for some people will be a little bit overgassed, though again, for a budget kind of do everything barrel with a do everything barrel length, I think that a .078 is perfectly appropriate unless you're shooting dedicated suppressed or only the hottest ammunition possible. But again, for most people, a 14.5 with a .078 gas port size on the Expo Arms 14.5 will be perfectly fine, pleasant to shoot, not too much recoil, and if it is too much recoil, I would go ahead and throw in a H1, H2 buffer, something like that. Currently, I'm just running it with carbine buffers, carbine springs, and as you can tell in the video, in conjunction with the Nox muzzle device, there is basically no recoil when shooting quickly. However, the Nox, when I'm doing slow fire and trying to be a little more precise, it tends to just keep dipping my barrel off of target every single time, so I actually have to bring back up to target. So the Nox is great for fast shooting, but it kind of sucks for everything else. Now, something that I forgot to mention is that the barrel itself is also dimpled. Now, I also pinned the gas block on here as well, so that gas block will never move with the high temp thread locker. Now, the FN barrel, again, just to quickly compare and contrast, the FN 16-inch barrel behind me, I had to personally dimple that. That did not come dimpled from the factory, and that cost me almost $200 for that barrel versus, again, a $70 barrel that does, again, come dimpled from the factory, which is, for most people, a very necessary touch. It makes sure that you align the gas block properly the first time, and you can visually check it. If one of those dimple is not in the dimple, you can see that they're both the same height. If the one in the back is deeper in, you know that it is physically in the dimple. Now, I've had this barrel in this specific upper receiver set from AT3 since I got it, and I've had it for quite some time. You've probably seen it a lot, both on this channel and on the Gun.Deals channel as well. At this point, we have about 2,000 flawless rounds through that, probably about 80% steel case through a fairly aggressive firing schedule. When I'm out on the range, of course, I probably only take it out once a week, once every other week, depending on what I'm filming and testing on those specific days. But again, this barrel has seen quite a bit of use, and I do tend to run my guns quite hot. Now, when we get into accuracy and long-range viability with a 14.5 chrome-lined barrel, in general, personally, 14.5 is one of my favorite barrel lengths, somewhere between a 14.5, 13.7, and a 12.5 if I need a shorter gun, and if I need a super short gun, like a 10.3, 11.5 is also perfectly fine. But for like a do-it-all gun, 14.5, 13.7, even a 12.5 in certain applications can make a very good, very versatile platform. Now, when we get into the specifics of the accuracy testing that I did, I tested 5 or 6 different match loads. I've tested, I believe, Hornady 75 grain SBR, which grouped quite well actually out of this barrel. I did some 77 grain HSM, 77 grain Nosler, 77 grain Atomic, as well as just basic testing with M193 ball and Wolf 55 grain, or actually Tula 55 grain steel cased ammunition. And the accuracy was basically exactly what you would expect from a budget barrel. With the match ammunition, I was able to average around 1.5 MOA, getting down towards 1 MOA with certain groups, especially if you remove a couple flyers, there would be a couple groups under 1 MOA. And again, for me, if I can get 1.5 MOA out of a budget barrel with, decent ammunition, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, when we switch over to ball ammunition, you're going to be averaging somewhere between 2 and 4 MOA, depending on the ball load that you're using, which again, for me personally, is perfectly fine. We were able to take this upper out to 450 yards multiple times with different optics, 1 to 6 LPVOs, red dots, magnifiers, all sorts of different configurations, optics, all that sort of fun stuff. And its performance inside of 500 yards was absolutely acceptable, even with just ball ammunition.
Hit, top middle. Hit, bottom left.
So we'll go ahead and get into it now, but the performance of the barrel in all aspects is completely acceptable given its price point. If I was handed this barrel in any build, in any configuration, I would be quite happy with it. It really didn't hold me back personally as a shooter whatsoever, and for the vast majority of people, it is going to meet or exceed their expectations slash needs for just about any circumstance. If you gave me this and said I had to do something in between 0 and 600 yards with a good optic, I would be perfectly happy with that. If you said I had to go run a 3-gun course with it with a red dot, I would also be extremely happy with that. Again, this barrel is good enough that if I had it in any of my guns, in any configuration, I don't think it would be the limiting factor whatsoever. So for the money, especially on sale, which is when I would pick these up, if you see Primary Arms is running a sale on their Expo Arms barrels, if you're looking for a chrome-lined barrel, then I would absolutely pick one up. Now, currently on Primary Arms website, these are going for $150. And for $150, I would probably still rather go with a Ballistic Advantage or a Roscoe, as they do tend to be a little bit more accurate, especially on the Roscoe barrels. And you can pick Roscoes and Ballistic Advantages up all day for under $150 for 14.5 mid with the exact same gas port setting as well. You get a little bit nicer nitride finish, but not the chrome-lined bore. Now again, chrome lining is nice. However, the vast majority of us are never going to need chrome lining, so it's kind of an expensive additive process that we don't really need and might actually hurt accuracy a little bit. Because again, the Ballistic Advantage and the Roscoe barrels do tend to be more accurate with more loads, and I've had better luck with them in general, though keep in mind this is a sample size of 1 versus hundreds of the Ballistic Advantage and Roscoes at this point. Now, all of that being said, on sale, these barrels are a no-brainer. So if today I had to buy a 14.5 mid, this was on sale for $70, and Ballistic Advantage and Roscoe were both on sale for $100, I would probably buy another one of these. It's dimpled from the factory, so I don't have to do that personally, though dimpling for me is super easy to do, but it is dimpled from the factory. Don't have to worry about it. Proper gas port size, chrome lining, decent finish. All the machining on it was just fine. The accuracy I was able to get out of it was good. And of course, that chrome lining, if I did happen to keep this build around for 10, 15, 20 years, that chrome lining is going to hold up exceptionally well, especially compared to other coatings. If I was on a very aggressive, hard use schedule with it, if I had to put 20,000 rounds through one of these barrels, I would probably be just fine with it. Whereas some other barrels, I might be getting towards the end of their barrel life in that same firing schedule. So at the end of the day, guys, I am extremely happy with the Expo Arms 14.5 chrome-lined barrel. I'll probably be trying out some of their other barrels as well. This upper receiver, I've basically done everything that I can do with it. I did a video on the receiver set, the barrel, the BCG is just the Toolcraft nickel boron BCG, which is perfect. I never clean it and I never add lubrication, and it still runs like a champ. But overall, I've basically done everything I can do with this upper receiver set, so it probably will be converted into funds, probably for another Expo arm build or something else down the line. Now, with all of that out of the way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think of the Expo Arms chrome-lined barrels. Let me know your experience with other Expo Arms barrels, as I have heard some QC issues, though again, I didn't have anything on this barrel over, again, the last 2,000 rounds. It's been perfectly flawless. But again, let me know what your guys' experience have been with Expo Arms, some of their other components as well. And with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.